Hi everybody. So I know it's been a few days since my last video. God has had me on a fast. What do you call it? He's been keeping me off off social media, off of making videos because he's been wanting me to just be with him. And there were some things that I was going through that he needed me to be focused on him so that I could go through this process without, you know, falling short or even getting scared. Because, oh, okay, so first development, if you can tell, I've lost weight. No, I'm not going to the gym. Like, I went to the gym and they're like, oh, it's closed for a week because we're doing renovations. And I'm like, but I, so no gym. I do have a membership, so I'm gonna start going. Actually, today. I don't know. He will. I'm gotta go to the grocery store and do all that, and I've gotta do laundry and clean the house and or the room, and so no, I'm still here, still in the same hotel. Um, but there were some revelations and some just things that I'm like, wow, like I totally missed the signs. Okay, so let's see, where do you want me to start? So God has been showing me Adam, 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 your rib, your rib. And I was like, okay, what about Adam? What about the rib? And it was a video that I saw from somebody. Whose video was I listening to? Right before God like shut everything down. He's like, okay, no more no more social media for a little bit. And I was like, okay. Um, like he, I wouldn't get the urge to go to social media. So, and that's been almost 5 days, 4 days, somewhere around there. And I've been noticing that I've been getting home later and later, and I'm like, Father, why am I getting home so late? Like I don't understand. Ah, but all of it has its place, all of it has its time, and this is just. So I realized that I was coming up on my 1 year anniversary working for the restaurant that I'm at. And so I was telling my boss, I'm like, you realize that May 9th is 1 year anniversary? And he's like, seriously? You've been here a year? I'm like, yeah, I've been here a year. And he goes, wow. And I'm like, yeah, wow. And so as I was heading to work on the bus, like a couple days later, um, a video popped up on my feed, and God hasn't been having me listen to the voice. Sometimes it's just reading the words that are on the screen. And so I was reading the words on the screen, and it said, something happened a year ago, and, or no, you met your spouse a year ago, and God put him under sleep, just like Adam. And I was like, that's no coincidence, because there are no coincidences when it's God. And so I was like, I met Ben a year ago. And I remember when I first started, he was annoyed by me. Like he didn't talk to me. He didn't like me. He was like, mm. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't even remember when it started. All of a sudden now he's poking fun at me. He's making jokes. He's getting close to me, and like I didn't understand, like because I still was under the idea, because I kept asking God, like even throughout this whole journey I keep asking God for confirmation. Is this man my spouse? And God would show me definite signs that yes, this is your spouse. And I was like, okay, so this is my spouse, so I have to stand, I have to pray, I have to be ready, be waiting for him. And the way it happened, the release from the covenant with because remember, Ruth couldn't marry Boaz until the first Redeemer that was closer, that was the closer kin, released her from the covenant of marriage. Then she could marry Boaz. Then Boaz could move forward. And so God had been showing me Isaac and Rebekah, Isaac and Rebekah, Isaac and Rebekah. And I'm like, so then I started realizing, okay, you're showing him that I serve because he watches me. And I didn't know this. I did not know he watches me. He watches, because we have cameras in the front. And so he watches me. He watches my interactions with customers. He watches my interactions with the staff. He watches my interactions with the leadership team. He listens to my phone calls. And I had no idea. I had no clue, none that he was doing this. Until God is like, look at Ben. And I was like, what? But, so I did. I sat with God. I'm like, I'm not going to make a step until you confirm, because you've been confirming periodically, because I would ask him. I'm like, it still doesn't look like what you said it would look like. And he would confirm, yes, this is where you want to go. And the first Redeemer would also confirm, because he would post things that were in line with what God was saying. And I was like, okay. So when God flipped the switch, I was like, what? What are you reading? And this is how it happened. So God already knew that Lucifer was going to use this individual. And God is so strategic. So the individual that was chosen to be the first Redeemer was actually an echo of my ex-husband. And that he kept bringing the word echo. And I'm like, there was a video that Nina did about the echo getting louder as God is getting closer. And I was like, okay, so this was the echo. I'm like, but you confirmed it, Father, because it was coming through you. And he said, yes, but I allowed it. I allowed that to happen. It wasn't, I can't explain it. It was, it's almost like he was leading me one way so that I wouldn't focus on him, on the one that he had for me, so that I could be me. I could shine with all of the light that I have within me, okay? Because as soon as I recognized that he was me, he was for me, this is me. Hi, how are you doing? I'm good, yeah, that's nice. Before, this is me. Hey, Ben, how's it going? What you doing? I'm like, Benners, because that's what I call them. I call them Benners. I'm like, Benners. And so now that I have that recognition, I'm getting a little quieter. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And so he's like, wait, so is she or isn't she? So now he's questioning whether or not he read the signs right. So God had me focusing on this man so that I wouldn't be in my head. I wouldn't be in my emotions. He allowed me to focus on that because there were two things. Remember, this isn't for us. This is for his glory. This is walking according to his will. He wanted his son to see what a godly woman looks like. And he's intrigued. He's like, wait, this woman, is happy. This woman is this. Because God has been teaching me through the pictures that he posts. He goes, look, because he now has a son, and because he now has age, instead of recognizing that, okay, this is not a relationship I should be in, and cutting ties and moving on, he is willing to accept his current state. He is willing to stay in the muck because he's comfortable with what he's created with his own hands. He's like, no, I'm good. And then I realized that he has this savior complex. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, he thinks he's going to save the day. He thinks he can do what I can't. You know, because I told him, I said, I know the only reason he was with this woman is because of this little girl. He fell in love with the little girl. He didn't fall in love with the mom. He fell in love with the daughter. Not in a creepy way, but in a fatherly way. Like, he wanted to give her the love of a father. He wanted to raise her with the understanding that a father is a good thing, because she didn't have a father in her life. I don't know what happened to her father, but he wasn't in her life. And so I noticed he would gravitate towards the daughter. He takes the daughter out. He takes the daughter to go do things with him. They have daughter-father date nights. And now that he has his son, now he's spending more time with his son. The daughter, of course, is now like 15, 16 years old. So she's now going off and hanging out with her friends and doing that thing. So there's not as much of him spending time with her as there is him spending time with his son. And so God said, look at the way he's looking out this window. What does it tell you? What don't you see? I'm like, the world could be falling apart around him, and he's okay with it because he can control what is happening in his son's life. And it's funny because every time he posted a picture, a song by Amy Winehouse would come on called Fade to Black. And I was like, Father, why does this song keep coming up every time he posts it? Because at work, it plays. And it's about, she's in love with this man, but he keeps going back to her. And because he keeps going back to her, she fades back to black. And so God started to prophetically speak to me about what the situation is happening. He says, he sees me, the light, and he sees the light that is within me. And he wants to go towards it. But he gets talked back into staying in the relationship that he's in, which is not good. He doesn't like her parents. He doesn't like her. You can see it in the pictures. He's not smiling. He's not happy. He smiles when he's with his son, when he's alone with him. In fact, they go out by themselves. They don't take her with them. And I'm like, so he's willing to stay in an unhappy relationship because he thinks that he likes the praises that he receives. Oh, you're so good. You're so great. I'm so happy I'm with you because without you, I just wouldn't be the same. And you're not going to give him those praises. You're not going to give him that confirmation. His ego is not going to get stroked. You're going to hold him accountable. You're going to hold him against the wall and say, no, you're not God. That's my God. And he doesn't want that. He wants to be first. He wants to be number one. And I was like, well, that ain't happening. I'm not doing that. And so he said, okay, so my choice for you is Ben, a server, just like you. In a different capacity, but just like me, he serves. And just like me, his job is important to him. Serving others is important to him. And so for the last, oh, and there's so much to talk about. So for the last 2 weeks, I have been cooking up a storm. Like, oh my gosh. So this competition, it's a presentation of plating. So it's you're taking your creativeness of creating these dishes, but you're also plating them in a way that is going to um, be worthy of a magazine cover. So I have been working the last 2 weeks, my fingers to the bone, to try and put dishes out that showcase my presentation skills. And they're like, why are you doing it so early? The competition doesn't start until the 20th. And I said, because if I started on the 20th, then I'm late. I'm behind the 8 ball. I should have already had my dishes uploaded, because it's not just about the people that are going to vote for you. It's also about the chefs seeing your capability of handling the kitchen. And so, because we don't know where our blessings are coming from, so we have to be prepared. We have to be obedient. We have to put ourselves out there so that God can choose the way that we get blessed, so that God gets the glory. And so here I am thinking that I'm supposed to be waiting for this man, and this other man is dying of love. And so because it happened suddenly, like I didn't see it, like I didn't recognize it, because it was so different from what everything I'm used to. I'm used to men who try to manipulate you, men who try to control you, men who try to undermine you, men who try to make you feel like you're not as good as you think you are. And here's a man who's like calling me a superstar. He's lifting me up. When he sees that I'm not smiling and I'm not, he'll crack a joke, or he'll come and he'll be like, I'm like, Ben, I can't hear you. I'm like, Ben, I can't hear you. And he makes me smile. And I didn't, because it's different. It's not anything I'm used to. I'm used to having to fight for the love. I'm used to having to beg for love. I'm used to having to ask for love. I'm being given love freely without needing anything other than him recognizing that I'm in love, that he's in love with me. And so when God flipped the switch, when he was like, isn't that cute? And I was like, what? And I looked back and I'm like, and then I started to see it. Then I couldn't stop seeing. Like, he opened my eyes and I was like, he's been here the whole time. He's been here the whole time. Like, how did I not see him? How did I not recognize him? That I've been working side by side, because that was something I asked God a long time ago. Something I had forgotten. Well, I didn't forget, but because I was so focused on this other man, I thought him and I were going to work together before we got together. But no, I was already working with him. And I'm like, but, and God says, there's no buts. Oh my God. So when this competition, and it started when he said, this is my girl. This is my girl. So I sat with God. And I'm like, no, I am not getting up. I am not going to talk to him. I am not going to say anything to him until you confirm it to me. I'm like, are you changing me to this man? And he goes, he was always the man. He goes, I just forgot to flip the switch for you. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I needed him to chase you. I needed him to want you. And because you were so focused over here, you didn't see him chasing you. You weren't elusive. You weren't staying away from him. You were basically making him more in love, not because you were being um, absent-minded or anything like that, but because he was having to fight for your attention. He was having to fight for you to see him. And he goes, and the reason I'm now opening your eyes is he needs to feel that he is as important as you are. I'm like, oh, so now I have to chase him? And he goes, yeah, but not for very long and not very far. And it's going to be different. He's going to see you patient. He's going to see you soft. He's going to see you rest. He's going to see you be you in front of him, that you're comfortable being around him, that you're okay seeing him work. And he has. I've been saying things to him like, oh, why did I say that? And he goes, it's okay. So when I entered this competition at the beginning of April, I had no idea God was going to use this competition to bring us together. So I had told, when I received the confirmation that I was selected, I had told the managers, and I was passing by Ben, and I was like, I don't think I've told you. I said, guess what? He goes, what? I said, I submitted my entries into a cooking competition, and I got selected. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I got selected. And I said, so now I got to cook food. And he's like, I'm in. I'll be your taster. I'm like, okay. Yeah, okay. I'll bring my food in and you can taste it. And so we've been spending a lot of time together. A lot of time eating together. Just being in each other's presence and so now, because it's different, I'm being a little quieter, I'm being a little less loud around him. Everyone else, I'm still the same. I'm obnoxious and loud and funny, and I clap back when people talk stuff to me, because I have one little boy who, he's like, he told me, he goes, Dana, why don't you go home and just never come back? And I'm like, okay. So I was talking to Cody, and I told Cody, I said, you know what? Joey's on my last nerve. And he goes, why? And I said, because the other day, and he's been saying it quite a bit, but the other day he comes up to, or he says to me, hey, Dana, why don't you clock out and just never come back? I said, one of these days he's going to get me in a bad mood, and I'm going to clap back, and he's not going to like it. And I said, and when I catch him, because it's not if he's doing it, it's not, oh, maybe he's doing it. I said, no, I know he's doing it. He's throwing away callback tickets. And I said, when I catch him, I am going to hold his ass to the fire. And Cody just looked at me like, he's what? I said, yeah. He's throwing away callbacks. He's mad. I said, he's mad because I keep asking him about it. I'm like, hey, Joey, do I have a callback back there? And he goes, I don't know, Diana, do you? I said, I called one. You should have one. And he goes, I don't have any tickets. I'm like, okay. I'll call Don back. And I've done that several times, so I know he's throwing them away. And then Cassie, who, by the way, has changed her attitude towards me because she thought that I was going to boss her around, that I was going to tell her what to do, because I'm being given privileges that are left to the leadership team. And when she saw that, she's like, now she's going to think she can tell me what to do. But I don't. I go to her because she's the senior employee. You know, she's been there the longest. Yes, I am more mature and I have more experience, but that doesn't negate her years of career. So she's been there the longest, and I will ask her, I'm like, hey, what do we have left to do? And she'll be like, oh, if you could do this. I'm like, okay. Oh, if you could do that. I'm like, okay. I said, did you call back a pizza, or do you want to call back a pizza? And so that we can have them for the customers. And she's like, okay. So now she's realizing that I'm not trying to tell her what to do. I'm not trying to order her around like other brand new crew chiefs would. Instead, I'm utilizing her knowledge and her skills to be able to move her, because she doesn't move. She likes to stand still. And you can't stand still when I'm around. You got to move. And so now, and this happened yesterday. So, and it's actually, I noticed it about a week ago. The manager and Ben, the general manager, they're friends. They're friends outside of work. They hang out together. Like, they're buddies. And they went outside. So, because we were talking, Ben and I, and the interaction that Will was witnessing, he's like, and I'm my peripheral, I'm seeing him do this, and I'm like, yeah, Will, we're talking. Get out of the way. Just, that's what I was thinking in my head, but I'm talking to Ben. And so, and he's just going, what is, so Will is like, he feels like he's my caretaker, like he's my protector. That's how he comes across to me. Like he's taking a liking to me in the sense of he wants to make sure that I'm okay and that I'm happy, because he's noticed a change in the store. So we're getting reviews. And over the weekend, we received 11 reviews highlighting our service, highlighting our food, and they've never had that many coming. They've never had any good reviews from that store. Like, that store never gets reviews. Suddenly, I get a review, and now the reviews are just flooding. They're flooding. They're flooding. So the owner gets notifications when these reviews are sent out. And he's now looking at the store differently. He's like, okay, this is a promising store. This is a producing store. Okay. And now he's asking questions. What changed? What happened? And they're like, Diana, who is this woman? Like, where did she come from? And they're telling him my story. She came from Peter Piper. She was trained there. And she's training everyone else. She used to train managers. And the owner's like, seriously? Yeah. And she's retraining the staff. They don't say, welcome in anymore. They say, hi there, how can I help you? As they're walking to the register. It's like, hi, how are you doing today? As they're standing in front of the register waiting for the customer. I can help you right over here if you're ready. No more welcome in. No more welcome in. We're not saying those words anymore. We're not Circle K's. We're not QT's. We're not gas stations. We're not 7-Elevens. We're a restaurant. And when you come to our restaurant, we treat you like family. That is the change in the attitude of our staff. And the managers are like, do you see this? Do you see this? Yesterday, we had 70 students come into our store. They came in, they bought food, they sat down, they ate their food. When they left, Will was like, okay, grab the trash can because we're going to need to go clean the tables. And I said, no, they're all done. I said, the only thing that's left is cups. And he just looked at me. Like, when did you clean? And he went out there and he's like, okay, we'll grab the tub so we can throw the... And we cleaned it in like 5 minutes. And he was baffled. He was like, how did you clean the entire dining room by yourself? And take care of customers and answer phones and... Because this is the first time he's actually seeing me do my job. I'm like, because I don't take it lightly. When God says you're serving, I'm serving. And in the last 2 days, we've received $130 in tips, which is unheard of for the morning staff. God is beginning to bring us the business. And I told them we have to be prepared. I said, this is the time to prepare. This is the time to prepare. This is the time to prepare. Because God has taught me how to prepare. He has brought me through all of this stuff to teach others how to prepare, how to be ready, how to stand in line with your hands out, with the buckets waiting. But I'm getting tired. Stand still. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. I'm like Joseph, or like Elijah, like Elijah telling, the rain is coming, the rain is coming. And they're like, but we don't see it. I said, it's coming. We have to be ready now. We don't get ready when we're in the middle of it. We get ready now, and when it comes in, we're not even going to feel it. And they're just looking at me like, and I told them, we need a bigger store. We need a bigger store. We need a bigger store. Guess what the owner's saying? I'm looking for a bigger store. So Will told Cody in front of me. He goes, hey Cody, guess what Bruce said? He said he's looking for us to get a bigger store, to get us out of the corner. Because you don't put baby in the corner. But I've been sounding the alarm. I'm like, guys, we got to be ready. I said, we got to be ready. I said, I don't make these boxes because I just want to make boxes. I'm getting ready for the rush.